Hi there! Today I'll be discussing the Ten of Swords tarot card, and I have it right here for you to see. Now, as you can see from the image, there's this man being cut up by these swords. And before I get into it, I always like to tell my audience that I love using the Golden Thread Tarot deck by Labyrinthos. It is my deck of choice, and that's what you saw right there. Now, again, the image there is of this man getting sliced up by all these swords. Now, I always like to look at swords as more directed as actions that we take, but on a more traditional note, they also represent intellect, logic, reasoning, versus where the cups, the cups represent emotions, matters of the heart. And all the suits represent something different, but that's what swords tend to represent. Now, whenever this card comes up for me in a reading, I look at it as it's the accumulation of all these factors of a person trying to master their reality, trying to be in control, trying to do so much, but ultimately overdoing it because they're not doing things with true authenticity, that they somehow misjudge and a sword slips through their fingers and ends up hurting them. So this is kind of a painful card. It's going to be one that it's a harsh reality at times, where people have to come to grips with what they feel they can do versus what they can't do in helpless situations. You have to come to grips with what the balance is for you in your life, or what the recipient of the questionnaire of this card, when they're getting their cards read, they're wanting some sort of reason for why they are going through these hardships, or why things might not be turning out in a favorable way for them. And again, it's them trying to do something with, like, okay, let me try this, let me try that, let me do this, and trying to do so much, but not knowing why. And at that point, we all have to recognize why we do what we do. We have to get to know ourselves even more. And this is one of those cards that comes up with the hardships of that life lesson, the more difficult components of that, when you're not quite getting the picture, when you're quite not being in tune with yourself. Because when you start to listen to your gut more so than not, it's going to steer you in the right direction. It's going to tell you what you like and what you don't like. And when you're able to listen to that more accurately, that is a challenge too, because a lot of us have learned how to distrust that internal voice, what our gut is telling us, or what our emotions are trying to guide us towards. But again, when we learn to trust that more, we will find ourselves going in the direction of what benefits us more, what is more in alignment with ourselves, rather than what we might be pushing against the current, so to speak. So when this card comes up, you have to kind of come to grips with, like, what can you take off your plate? What can you realign yourself and allow yourself to balance out what's truly important for you in your life? Because this is going to be one of those situations when this card comes up, that reality is going to smack it back in your face, that, like, look, this failed. It's going to feel like a failure, but it's not really a failure if you are learning from it. In that way, you are gaining, you are growing, you're not losing anything. You just have to come to grips with what you're fighting against, what you're resisting when this card comes up in a reading for you. All right, I hope you found this information useful, and if you have any questions for me, or if you'd like to request my next video be on a specific tarot card, feel free to drop a comment down below, and I look forward to seeing you back around on the next video. All right, thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye.